What's up, my friends? Welcome back to another Action After. And this week we're talking about Milena Prinzi's Action After, which was to meditate. Now, as we look into this week's Action After, I know sometimes we hear the word meditate and we go instantly into this, I could never do that. I can't sit in silence and all this stuff, all this, overwhelm in a sense of how difficult it may be to actually sit in silence with just nothingness in our thoughts. And so what we're going to do on this week's Action After is we're going to look at two separate ways that you can meditate that can allow you to dive into this in a little bit of a different sense. And the first way, the first Action After item is going to be to have yourself do something for 10 minutes that forces you to shut off your brain. Now, Milena talked about this, that sometimes she will just stretch for 10 minutes. And as she stretches, she will just allow herself to just give herself this time of peace and silence and not worrying about what's next in life or how am I going to figure this thing out or, all of these things that sometimes in life consume us and create stress and create worry and create all these emotions that essentially are not positive emotions in our life and oftentimes are not emotions that put us in a solution-oriented mode, right? So what you want to do in this 10 minutes is you want to give yourself a moment to just shut off your brain, because often what times happens is when we shut up our brain and we stop worrying about things so much and feeling like we got to have it all figured out or whatever it is that we're stressing on, sometimes as soon as we allow ourselves to just take off the pressure, just decompress, just not worry about it, sometimes what will happen is you will innately get an answer in that moment, right? When you're not looking for it, sometimes that's when it comes to you. So one thing you can do to shut your brain off for 10 minutes is maybe stretch, right? If you don't stretch, maybe stretch for the first time in a long time. I promise it'll feel good, right? Do some, calf stretches, some arm stretches, maybe go do some downward dog yoga poses, but allow yourself just to do that for like 10 minutes, not a major amount of time, but just a little bit. And it'll allow you to meditate, but in a different way. Now, another way you can do it is maybe you just put on like music that makes you feel good for 10 minutes, right? Maybe it's classical music like Milena, and you say, I'm just going to put this on for 10 minutes and just sit and just chill. Just chill the heck out. Just not worry about anything. Maybe for you, it's you like some music that's like pop and gets you dancing, right? Maybe for you, your form of meditation is putting on some music and dancing. Allow yourself to just move your body in a way that is organically how you express yourself, right? So maybe that's it for you. Maybe another way you can meditate is go on a 10-minute walk. Like put your phone in your house, step outside your door, go on a walk, and don't look at your phone. Right. I know for some of us, we may go 10 minutes without my phone. What the heck am I going to do with my life? No, this is 10 minutes without your phone so that you can figure out your life, right? Sometimes we got to put the distractions away. We got to put the phone away. So maybe another way you can meditate is say, I'm going to go on a 10-minute walk and I'm just going to allow myself just to like listen to the nature, listen to the birds, listen to whatever it be. Just allow yourself to go meditate in that sense. Right? Allow yourself to not worry about the next thing. That's another way. Maybe another way is maybe just read. For me, I'm a big fan of reading, what would it be? Fiction books, right? Books that get my mind thinking. Now, for you, maybe that's something that can allow you to meditate. You go, for 10 minutes, I'm going to read this thing that's going to make me think a little differently. For some of you, you may go, heck no. For 10 minutes, I just want to read something that is like adventurous or a book that is just a story, right? And maybe that's something that as you read that and you get kind of swept into that story, your mind can just kind of let go of some of the other things, right? It'll allow you to shut off that analytical part of your brain that goes, what's next? What am I going to do? How am I going to figure this out? Allow yourself just to dive into a good book that's adventurous, right? So that's going to be the first Action After item for this week is meditate for 10 minutes, but it's going to be doing something for 10 minutes that forces you to simply shut off your brain. All right. Many different ways you can do this. I'm sure you have other ways you could think of. You go do that as well, right? For me, a way I used to meditate, don't do it as much anymore because I get injured easily now, but would be going to skateboard. right? Just like go to a skate park or go ride my skateboard for 10 minutes, because when I skateboard, for me, it's like a form of meditation. I just shut off everything else and I just get to be present. So maybe you have something like that. Maybe you play tennis, maybe you do a sport. Find a way that for 10 minutes you can shut off your brain and use that as a form of meditation. That's number one. Then number two, and this one may be more challenging, but I wanted to at least put it in the action after to give you the opportunity to try it, because if we never try things in our life, we're never going to know if we enjoy them. We're never going to be able to experience them, and we're never going to see what happens in that moment. And so the second action after is going to be that I want you to sit in silence for 5 minutes. All right, yes, you heard me correctly. I want you to sit in silence for 5 minutes, and I'll give you a couple tips on how you can do this more effectively, because I'm not someone that sits in silence all the time, but I've done it enough times where, I've had phases of my life where I want to meditate more. I want to do this. And I've done things that allowed it to make that process much easier. And I would say one of the first things is that you want to set a timer on your phone, right? Or set a timer on your watch, depending how you would set a timer, or on your microwave or whatever. But you want to set a timer for 5 minutes, because when you're in this meditation, what may happen is if you don't have a timer, you're going, it must be 5 minutes. It had to have been 5 minutes. And it's like 12 seconds, right? Because sometimes when we sit in there in silence, because we never do this in our life, time begins to expand itself. Time begins to stretch because we're doing something different. It kind of alters our time, our perception of time. So if you set a timer, what this allows you to do is, as your mind wanders, and it will wander, I'm going to tell you this right away, is you sit in silence for 5 minutes, the first minute, the first 30 seconds, the first 10 seconds, you may go, oh my God, my mind's going bing, 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 and it's going all over the place. That's perfectly fine, right? But if you set this timer, what it allows you to do is you don't have to worry about how long have I been here? Have I been doing this for the 5 minutes or not? Set the timer for 5 minutes. And then once that timer goes off, your time's up, right? Now, another way that you can practice meditation is simply focus on your breathing. Right? Sometimes people say, imagine your breath is like a color. Imagine you have like an ice blue, and when you breathe in, the ice blue's coming in, and as you breathe out, it turns into like a purple, right? And you can do this with different colors, but imagine that you feel your breath coming in, going into your lungs, going down, 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 all the way into the deepest part of your body, and just literally imagine visualizing them going into your body, and then breathe out and imagine the air coming out of your lungs, and then do the same thing again. Right. And as you begin to watch your breath, what it allows you to do is it allows you to take your mind off your thoughts. Right. It allows you to focus on something different. And eventually you do it long enough, you're going to be able to do it pretty well. Right. And again, a warning, at first, when you do this for 5 minutes and you focus on your breath, you probably focus on your breath once or twice, and then your mind will go bing, 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 and it'll do all those things. That's perfectly okay. Right. This is something that you practice, but at least try it once, try it twice, maybe try it for a week. Say, I'm going to sit in silence for 5 minutes, because as you do that, as you allow yourself to just decompress, take a deep breath, take the pressure off, that's sometimes when the most beautiful answers come to you. All right. And understand, most importantly, that there is no right way to do this. There is no wrong way to do this. It is simply just doing this. Simply just doing the act. And by doing the act, you're doing it perfectly fine. You're doing it the right way. And as you continue to do it more, you'll figure out what works for you and what doesn't work for you. For some people, they meditate one way, and it's a completely different way than other people, but it's what works for them, right? And the way they found that out is by starting with these little 5-minute segments to meditate. All right. So that is going to be the action after for this week, my friends. Number one, do something for 10 minutes that just allows you to shut your brain off, right? Give yourself permission to shut it off for 10 minutes. And I promise you, it's going to bring the stress, the pressure, some of the things that you're currently going through. It's going to allow that to decompress a little bit. And then second thing is challenge yourself and say, for this week, at least one time this week, I'm going to sit down for 5 minutes in silence, put my phone aside, set a timer on my phone for 5 minutes, and I'm just going to allow myself to sit in silence. All right. So go out there, execute this week on the action after, and I will see you on the podcast next week, my friends. Take care.